So ADA currently finds itself in a correction, and I mentioned in my previous update that I was looking at for ADA to tap into this range between 38 cents to 41 cents. And as it stands, the local bottom sits at 40.57 cents. And so it is possible that we could have bottomed out and then we see a reversal to the upside. But given the nature of this move here, it looks to be corrective rather than impulsive. And so it's possible that we'll go slightly deeper and we could then tap into this range between around 39.25 cents to 39.97 cents. And this range is the Y wave target, given that I mentioned that I was tracking a WXY structure. And so if I zoom in and check to see what's taking place over here, and if I bring in the Fib tool and bring this down to 41.1 cents, what you can see is the Y wave, which is this move here, ended up tapping into its typical range between 1 to 1.236, and that was then followed by a rejection where we ended up breaching below this level here, over here. So that confirmed that what we are forming is a correction rather than an impulsive move to the upside. And so given that we ended up tapping into this range, I'm looking at for the Y wave to have completed, and it's possible that this double XY structure would then form the X wave, which is this wave here. And what we'll see forming right now is the Y wave. So if I zoom in and check to see what's taking place over here, in fact, if I drop down to the 5-minute chart, that'll be easier. And yeah, straight away I can say that this move here is also made up of a correction. So what ended up forming was a WXY structure. So if I bring in the Fib tool once again, and bring this to 43.89 cents. And yeah, you can see that we ended up tapping into that typical range for the Y wave, which is anywhere between 1 to 1.236. That was then followed by a correction and then a reversal. And a double XY structure was formed once we ended up breaching below this level here at 43.01 cents. And you can see that that triggered a change of character, which then signaled that we were bearish. And so yeah, what I'm looking at for right now is for this double XY structure to be playing out, where this 3-wave move formed the double wave, and this correction formed the X wave, and this whole move to the downside formed the Y wave. And so if I bring in the next Fib tool and bring this up to 43.74 cents, and yeah, same again, you can see that we ended up tapping into that typical range for the Y wave, which is anywhere between 1 to 1.236, and that region sits between 42.34 cents to 42.61 cents. And so given that we ended up tapping into this range, I'm looking at for the Y wave to have formed, and the next key region to be keeping an eye on will be the 50 to 18.2% retracement level of this whole move here. So if I bring in the Fib tool once again and bring this down to 42.4 cents, next key region to be keeping an eye on will be this region between 43.27 cents to 43.93 cents. So if I draw that region in, and reason being is because what I'm looking at for within this Y wave is for a WXY structure to form, and so it's possible that this whole move to the downside could have formed the double wave. And the next move that we're going to witness would be the X wave, where the X wave would typically reach anywhere between 50 to 18.2% of the double wave, which is this region. And then what we can see is the Y wave play out like so. And then this move here would then form the double wave. And we can see the X wave play out and then the Y wave. And then this double XY structure would then form this Y wave. And then shortly after, I will be looking out for that reversal to the upside. And if I go into hourly chart, it's interesting to note that we are within the oversold conditions, and so I'm anticipating the bulls to regain control of the market. And if that's the case, again, this region here will be the one to be keeping an eye on. But of course, that's something I'm going to be tracking in the days and weeks to come, and I'll keep you guys updated. So yeah, that's my update on Cardano ADA. Hopefully you found it useful, and if you did, then feel free to hit the like button, and if you're new, feel free to subscribe.